What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here. Another battering from City on the weekend. Bit more positive than last time though.
Possibly. I thought we were just as much in the game, to be honest. But it was a poor result at the end of the day. Another, beaten by the better team.
Yeah, but there was some good performance in there. But anyway, let's talk about our ratings. Let's get into it.
All right, so we'll start with Hugo Lloris. For the third consecutive week, we're going to give him a 5. Another mistake from Hugo, and it's becoming a real trend. And we've backed him fully on this show, completely throughout the season and throughout his Spurs career. But his mistakes are starting to creep in way too frequently at the moment. It has to be called out, and he just shouldn't. He didn't have to come out for that second goal. Simple as that. What
is he doing? He rushes out. Davinson's got 2 men over as well, and he's completely rushing out. Absolutely reckless. Yeah, it wasn't a penalty, but it was definitely a free kick and a booking. I know some people were saying it should have been a sending off, but I'm not having any of that. But yeah, 3 weeks in a row, and Hugo's made a mistake and cost us a goal.
Exactly. That goal is really poor decision making from Hugo Lloris. He had Sanchez covering, he had Vertonghen coming over. He didn't have to rush out like that, and he was always going to be second best that ball from Sterling. He was never at one moment did you think, oh, Hugo's favourite for that ball. So I don't know what he was thinking about coming out. And what concerns me the most is these kind of decisions are supposed to be his bread and butter. This is supposed to be his strength. And if he's getting these kind of decisions wrong, then all of a sudden calls everything else into question. But hopefully this is just a bad patch from Hugo, and it's not something that's going to continue for going into next season or the end of this season, but it's something he needs to iron out of his game.
Look, the guy, there's no question about the guy's a top class keeper, and obviously I'm going to back him until the end, basically. Hugo, we believe in you.
100%. He's been a great servant for the club. He still is. He's captain of France. He's going to play for them the World Cup. He's going to be their captain as well. He's clearly a world class keeper, but these mistakes are costing us goals for 3 weeks in a row now, and it's something needs to change.
All right, let's move on. We move on to Trippier. We gave him a 6. For those first 20 minutes, looked really bad news for Trippier. He was getting skinned time and time again. The Man City attack looked rampant at times. But as the game got into it, I think kind of half an hour in to maybe until about half an hour to go, really, Trippier was looking good. He was getting up and down. He was defending all right, attacking okay. Nothing too much, to be honest. But there was that one moment when he blocked a shot off the line when he was kind of on the floor.
Sterling.
Yeah, and I thought that was actually Jan at the time, but no, I looked back on it at the replay and it was Trippier.
That was actually world class. He was actually lying on the floor and he stuck his leg out just to block Sterling's shot, which was obviously an open goal because he's gone past Hugo. So that was a great moment for Trippier. I thought once we grew into the game, he was getting some really vital interceptions in there. He was actually pressing Sane really high and hard, and Sane was actually struggling to get in the game. But as you said, in those first 20 minutes, Sane clearly had the beating of him, and he really ran rings around him for a while. Which was worrying. But I thought Trippier did all right once he grew into, as you grew into the game. But we saw at the Etihad.
That's what I'm saying. If you compare his performance at Wembley to the Etihad, then it's a lot better.
It's a lot better.
But that's not saying much because his performance at the Etihad was a disgrace.
Etihad, he was getting skinned for the whole 90 minutes, time and time again. But I thought in this game, there was a few moments where he was, once we grew into the game as a team, he was getting in good positions. He was getting some dangerous balls in, and he was actually looking a threat going forward. And he was dealing with Sane a lot better. But you can't ignore the other times when he was just getting skinned. So
yeah, and it happened. Obviously, it happened. We've spoken about that. It happened a lot in the Etihad. It happened at Wembley. I don't know about moving forward if he's the first choice right back that we're gonna.
Well, we've got him and Aurier battling it out.
Yeah,
so
I don't know. To be honest, I don't think either of them are good enough. I don't think they're bad players, but I don't think they're good enough for what we're trying to achieve.
I think Aurier. I know it's only his first season at Spurs. I think given more time, I think Poch can iron out those mistakes. He's got that rashness and make him into a top class fullback. That's what I'm hoping for. I think he's got all the qualities, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Ben Davis, we gave him a 6. Similar to Trippier in terms of the first 25 minutes or so, he was getting absolutely rinsed by Raheem Sterling. He found it really hard to contain him. He could have been sent off, people argue, after he fouled Company in that first half as well. Bit of a naughty challenge there from Ben.
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought as with Trippier, he grew into the game after about half an hour. When Spurs were getting their foot on the ball, starting to dominate things, he was getting involved. He was finding some good passes into Ali and Eriksen, and he was actually getting in really good positions going forward. And I was quite impressed with how he grew into the game and how well he was doing. But it kind of all fell apart again in that final quarter of the game, and it undid all the good work he was doing. But I think it still wasn't a terrible performance from Ben. But again, you can't ignore when Sterling was giving that torrid time right at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I'm going to go on like I went on about Trippier as well. I think about Davis. I love Davis as a player, but again, I think our fullbacks is a big part of why we're not doing as well as what we did last season.
Can argue that.
I think that thing that Walker and Rose gave us last season, we don't have that this year with Trippier and Ben Davis, and I think we're struggling because of it.
I don't think we're struggling. You could argue we're struggling, but I would say that they just don't have that pace to recover as much as Walker and Rose do. Mm-hmm. You know, I think they get forward fairly well, but I think you kind of need to adapt it because they just don't have that pace to recover as Walker and Rose have that searing pace. Every time they go forward, they can always get back just as fast, and you kind of just have to say to maybe Walker, Davis and Trippier, maybe don't go forward as much as someone like Walker and Rose can go forward because you can't get back as quick. So it's something they need to think about maybe going forward, but it's something we can learn from. But
especially in a game like against Man City when their attack is so fast.
Yeah, and that was
they get found out.
Yeah, and that's what happened, unfortunately.
So we move on to Jan Vertonghen. We gave him an 8. Could have potentially been a 9.
Yeah.
Our man of the match, like we've said for the past couple of weeks, he has just been the man mountain. Mm-hmm. Absolutely insane. Time and time again, he was getting the ball out from the box, making these last-ditch clearances. There was that one moment where he won the ball and then it looked like he lost it again, but then he slid in and won the ball. That was just insane.
The crowd erupted after that.
The crowd completely erupted. But having said that, he actually had to defend on his own yesterday because the defence wasn't really doing the job yesterday.
Well, I thought he was, let's be honest, he was head and shoulders above our whole defence yesterday. He was absolutely outstanding. He was like a level above all our other defenders. And it was just
about 3 levels above.
Yeah, and it wasn't just that. It was composure on the ball as it always had to. He was like playing 1-2s with Davis striding forward, creating attacks.
Yeah, the amount of times he strode forward yesterday.
Yeah, it was and phenomenal. And it was just such a shame that all the other defenders weren't quite on his level because he was absolutely phenomenal. And he's been like that all season. And it's
2 seasons really.
And he's so majestic. I just love watching him play as a defender. He's like he's like a midfielder. How he can pick a pass out. When he clears the ball, he aims for someone and like tries to start attacks. It's fantastic to watch. And he's so graceful when he's on the ball. And it's a shame that just we couldn't as a team get up to that level that Jan was on yesterday. Because if we were, I think we probably would have won that game.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right, we move on to Davinson Sanchez. We gave Davinson a 5. He got caught out, let's be honest. He got caught out a few times yesterday from Raheem Sterling and Jesus, both running in behind, especially that first goal where it was just one long ball straight out from Company and Jesus got a run on him and he went through and scored. And Sterling as well, a couple of times really badly caught him out. And Davinson is a very young defender. He's 21. I think he's probably one of, if not the best young defender, centre-back in Europe. But yesterday he showed he's still got a lot to learn in this against the very best, against the top teams. And I think he showed that against Juventus as well. At the home game he got caught out badly and it cost us. And it happened again at Wembley today. Yeah,
like he said, I think he is one of the best young centre-backs in Europe. Well, you let us know. Type in the comments section below. Who's a better defender at 21 than Davinson Sanchez in the whole of Europe?
I'd love to know.
I don't know one.
Yeah,
I can't think of one on top of my head.
No, it's hard to think of one.
But, the last couple of games, he hasn't been that great. Before that, though, he had a big run of 7 games or 6 games where he was just insane.
Fantastic, yeah. I think he's a great defender. Obviously, I was at one moment at Stoke last year where he sold himself and kind of was too rash. But I think throughout the season, for a defender who's come over from Holland, we spent 42 million on, the pressure on his head for the amount we spent on him and his age, I think he's performed with extreme maturity. I think with excellently throughout the season most of the time. I think he's just obviously it's his first season at the club. He's got to learn, but he's got the best manager in Pochettino who's going to learn under. He's got Vertonghen next to him. Unfortunately, probably won't have Toby for much longer, but he's got some great centre backs to learn off, and I think he's at the best place, and I think he's going to go from strength to strength. It was just a learning curve this weekend.
But it's the question marks again. Like, is he good enough to be our number one centre back throughout the whole season?
At the moment, you could argue maybe he's still lacking in those big games when it really matters. But I think you could also argue that throughout the season, I think I posted a stat on social media the other week. He's started 24 games this season. We've conceded 18 goals in those games, 12 clean sheets, and we've won 16 of them. It's not like we've struggled with him in the team.
Yeah, but when you come up against the oppositions like the Man Cities, is he good enough to cut it in those games?
Maybe not at the moment, but I can think off the top of my. Let's not try and say that whenever Toby played, our defence was perfect the whole time and we never struggled.
Well, when Toby was in our defence, we had the best defence in the Premier League by a long way.
We had the best defence in the Premier League, but I can name off the top of my head a few games where we struggled. Man City away last season, Chelsea in the semi-final, Chelsea at home this season. There's a few games where defensively, even with Toby in the team, we have struggled. So yeah, but put the whole blame on Sanchez, I think, is a bit harsh.
Yeah, but look, you're not going to have a perfectly defensive game every game.
Correct. That's my point.
Yeah, but the point is that Toby wouldn't have made the mistakes that Sanchez makes. No way. That's never going to happen.
You could argue that, but you could also.
It's never going to happen.
But I wouldn't put this whole our struggles in defence against Man City or against Juventus solely down to not having Toby in the team. And what I would say is, yes, I love Toby. Listen, Toby is better than Sanchez. I'm not going to say he's not. That's a stupid thing to say. Toby's far better than Sanchez. But to say that we have struggled only because Toby has been playing or because of this, I don't think that's true. Because
it's a collective thing.
Yeah,
Last season,
exactly.
Last season we had Toby, Jan, Walker, and Rose. Mm-hmm. This season we've got Trippier, Davis, Vertonghen, and Sanchez.
It's a difference. It's a downgrade.
And that's 3 downgrades out of 4.
Yeah.
So that is why our defence is struggling.
Yeah, or struggling more.
It's not just because of Sanchez. It's a collective thing.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying people, to say that just because we have Sanchez in the back when our defence isn't going to be good enough, I don't think that's necessarily true.
I agree with you, and people that do say that are a bit short-sighted, or they're not seeing the whole picture basically. And it's just a rash decision after seeing a poor performance.
Yeah. I would love Toby to stay. I do. I
Obviously,
really would.
Who wouldn't?
But it doesn't look likely, and I think we need to get with the reality.
But when you're actually talking about it and like how many games he actually plays and how much wages he wants, then it does make sense to get rid of him.
If he's demanding that, yeah, it does. I guess in a sense, but I guess we'll see how it goes, because I don't know if we've heard the end of it, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, we move on to Moussa Dembele. We gave him a 7. First 20 minutes, he kept losing the ball. He looked awful, to be honest, but really grew in the game and became the Dembele that we love to see, taking on the City players, getting past them time and time again, kind of running that show from midfield. But then he kind of dropped off again, and wasn't great to see. But it was kind of very hot and cold from Moussa Dembele.
Well, he took him off, didn't he, Pochettino? I think he was getting tired. I think he was getting overrun in that midfield. I think, especially in those that first 25 minutes, he was getting completely destroyed. City were pressing him so high, he got absolutely no joy. But once he was getting his foot on the ball, and once maybe City eased off him a little, he was really starting to get involved. He was starting to, as you said, get really involved in the play, and it was like the Moussa Dembele we love to see. But
those touches, how he was getting around those Man City midfielders, was insane. It's just why couldn't he keep it up the whole game? And I thought we would have had a much better chance.
And I think things changed really a bit when he went off. I know he was struggling, but I think it's a symptom of our play that we don't really have a ball carrier if it's not for Dembele, do we? We don't have a real player, maybe except for Harry Winks, who's injured as well, a player who can really get his foot on the ball and start to dominate, pass the ball about, or dribble in the middle of the park when Dembele is not on the pitch. And that's why I would say that we need another centre mid in the summer. Yeah, someone who can compete with Dembele and can get his foot on the ball. And
someone who's physically 100% fit and who can last 90 minutes as well.
100%.
But you can't. The problem is with Dembele, the stuff he does, you can't really replace. Because I don't know a midfielder in the Premier League, in the world or European football that does what he does.
No, but it doesn't mean we can't get a midfielder with different qualities who can be just as effective.
I agree.
And I think we do need someone there in midfield. All right, moving on to Eric Dyer. We gave him a 6. Struggled again, as did the whole team in that first part of the first half. I don't think actually he had his best game, Eric Dyer. His passing wasn't as we've seen him have some games where he's spraying some lovely passes. We didn't really see that this game, but I thought there was times where he was getting stuck in the middle of the park and he was breaking up City's play quite nice.
I thought he was really struggling to break up City's attacks.
Yeah, I'm saying at times in the when Spurs were on top, he was kind of contributing to that. But I thought there were times though where City, I remember there was at least a couple of times where Silva was just carrying the ball through centre mid, and there was no one tracking him. He was literally free to do what he wanted, and I was wondering where was the midfield? And it seemed like a deliberate tactic because Lloris was going long. We were kind of overloading the defensive areas in City's final third. But Kompany was winning the headers, and all of a sudden Silva had a free run on our defence, and it was a real struggle. I'm not sure what the plan was there, because it just wasn't working, especially in those opening half an hour.
And there was that one moment where the ball came into the centre of the park. Dyer wins the header, and he just heads it back into no man's land. Yeah. City get the ball straight away and start another attack. And to be honest though, Dyer hasn't had the best of seasons. I really don't think he has. I think he's dropped off from last season. I think, he has had good games, and I wouldn't say he's had a bad season, but when you're comparing it to his season last season, I don't think it's
But last season, a lot of the time he was playing in a centre-back 3.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe it goes to where his best position is.
Yeah.
Because this season he's mostly been in centre-mid, because Wanyama's been injured most of the season. So I think it's a big question mark for Spurs fans and England fans where Dyer's best position is, because sometimes against the very best teams, if he plays in a centre-back 2 or a midfield 2, he can get found out. But I think we've seen games where, I remember when we beat Chelsea last season at White Hart Lane, he was in a centre-back 3 and he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it remains to be seen where Dyer's best position is, but he did struggle a bit in this game.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Put it in the comment section below. What is Eric Dyer's best position?
Exactly.
What do you think anyway?
I think it's in a 3, centre-back 3. I think that's a third centre-back. That's his best position.
I'm conflicted. I'm really not sure what his best position is. I can't tell you.
I think if again against anyone except for the top 4 or 5 teams, he's absolutely fine in centre back 2. Yeah. He's absolutely fine in a midfield 3. But I think it's the very, very top teams. I think he gets found out.
Well, I think that's the same for Trippier, Davis.
Yeah, that is the same for them.
And potentially Davinson Sanchez as well.
But what I would say against Trippier and Davis is there have been games where like United at home, Arsenal at home or Chelsea away, where they have thrived in those big games. So in their position, so I wouldn't. Maybe they could. I think they've proved, or against Madrid as well, they've proved they can play in that position against the very top, and it won't get found out every time. But I think Dyer hasn't really proved it yet.
Yeah. We move on to Christian Eriksen. We gave him a 6. Not the commanding performances we've seen in the past, or second half of the season really, or even the whole season to be honest. For me, he's been one of the players of the season, if not the player of the season. But he found it hard yesterday. He was being outnumbered there. Mm-hmm. The defence was kind of keeping a keen eye on him, seeing what he was up to and kind of clamping him down. But having said that, he was trying to make things tick, but it just wasn't coming off him really. He got that goal.
Lucky goal.
Kind of, really lucky, ricocheted off him kind of twice. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was hard for him. He was trying to make things happen, but it just wasn't happening.
There were a few moments he was spraying some lovely passes left to right, finding the fullbacks, especially at the end of the first half. But he did struggle, and I think there were times, especially late in the game, where he got into really promising positions. He was ballooning crosses over the bar and really not doing things that we know from Christian Eriksen. One thing I would say is I thought when we had free kicks in dangerous positions, I thought he was actually delivering quite dangerous balls in, and we could have done better with those set pieces. But other than that, he did struggle a bit. He wasn't getting enough shots off as Eriksen's so lethal from in and around the box, and he wasn't creating enough chances. And I thought they shackled him pretty well, which is annoying considering they didn't have Fernandinho yesterday. So you thought maybe Eriksen could get more more space, but it didn't really happen.
But the one good thing I can say is that he's kept up his good record of scoring in these big games, which is actually a really important thing to have, you know. All these big games this season, you've got your Real Madrids, your Man Uniteds, your Chelseas, you know, he's been scoring in all of them and playing blind in games.
2 goals, he scored in the Etihad as well.
Yeah.
And now he scored again against...
albeit in a 4-1 and a 3-1 loss, but there you go.
Still, goals are goals, can't take him away from him. Unless you're
Harry Kane.
Unless you're Harry Kane, yeah. All right, Dele Alli, we gave him a 5. Real anonymous performance from Dele Alli. Just didn't get in the game whatsoever. I thought I thought, to be honest, what really frustrated me is a lot of the game he spent rolling around on the ground. And it's one thing to do when you're winning free kicks, like in dangerous positions, or you're trying things, but it was a lot of the time he was just getting pushed off the ball and he would roll around the ground looking for a free kick, and they weren't being given, and he was taking an age to get back up, and it was actually quite frustrating to watch yesterday. He's really upturned his form recently, and we've commented on that, but I think yesterday was a step backwards.
Yeah, you know, I was crying for him to get taken off for Lucas when he took off Lamela instead. I just thought he wasn't adding anything to the game, and Lamela was adding a lot more than him. Which brings us on to Eric Lamela.
Yeah.
Lamela, we gave him a 6. And I thought it was actually an alright display. He was pressing very high up the pitch, and he was doing a lot of good things, but he was trying a lot, but a lot of things weren't coming off for him. But for what I can say, compared to Ali, he was actually trying things.
Yeah, and
he was actually showing intent, which Ali wasn't at all. And I thought when he went off, it took a lot out of our play.
I thought we lost a bit of energy when he went off.
We lost a lot of energy when...
And, the amount of times he was putting in slide tackles, getting in interceptions, he was really pressing from the front, which we know from Lamela he loves to do and he's so good at. And I thought, especially in that first half, I thought he was our only real outlet in that first half, even though when he got the ball, he struggled a bit because he didn't have that much support. I thought he did a fair amount of good work. He was getting in decent positions. A lot of things, as you said, weren't coming off for him, but at least he was there trying to create stuff for Spurs, trying to create chances. And it's more than I can say for Ali and Eriksen. I think he did more in that game than, especially in that first half, than especially Ali did. And it was a shame that he did get taken off after an hour. Maybe he was tired or whatnot, but I thought he put in a decent shift. And I know I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, panning him, saying he's awful performance. I just didn't see that.
If you're gonna pan him for an awful performance, that's got to go to Ali. I'm sorry, you can't. Lamela is always made the scapegoat. That's the problem.
Because we spent so much on him. I think. Same with Sissoko. Like that price tag follows you around, and it's hard to shake off. And people expect things from you, and
even if look at it now, 30 million is nothing though.
Yeah, 30 million is nothing in this current market. But like, if you can sign someone with 30 million, and then people expect them to perform at a certain level, and if they're not reaching that level, then everyone says he's a flop or whatever. But you can still be a good player and a value member of the squad, even if you're not reaching that level. People, 30 goals or 30 assists or whatever it is, people are expecting from him.
He got brought into Spurs as a replacement for Gareth Bale, so
and that was high expectations.
Yeah.
He was never going to do that, but I thought it was a decent display from Lamela, and I don't think all this criticism I'm seeing is completely warranted.
As well, the problem was, I thought, because the way it was working was Otamendi got brought on for Leroy Sané around the same time as Lamela got taken off.
Yeah,
and I thought it wasn't the greatest change, because when Otamendi came on, Man City kind of dropped back. And it was hard to bring on Son, because Son needs those spaces in behind, and it's hard to find when City have dropped back and they're protecting the lead.
Yeah,
I thought Lamela would have been much better for that kind of moment, because he's the ones pressing from that way instead of going that way.
And he's better in tight spaces than someone like Son is.
Exactly. So that's why I would have taken off Ali for Son or for Lucas, and you know what I mean.
Fair point. All right, we're going to move on to Harry Kane, and we gave Harry a 5. No goals for him this week. No goals for him to claim.
Well, you never know. You never know.
He did get the assist for Eriksen's goal, so who knows what Harry's going to claim.
Eriksen never got a touch on it.
But saying that, I thought they shackled him very well, to be fair. He was pretty anonymous throughout the game. He was a few moments he was holding the ball up nicely. He was spraying a few passes, but other than that, he didn't really get in the game. He got the assist, as I just mentioned, for Eriksen. So actually a nice little ball, through ball for him to get a toe poke on. But other than that, he struggled. I can't really remember any shots he had in the game. He struggled to get any sort of attacking impetus. And the thing I could say is, you could probably argue now, we've played Stoke and City in our past 2 games with Kane being back. We probably look better in the 3 games without him than we did in the past 2 games.
But
I don't
that
know.
brings the question: is Kane fully fit?
That's another question. I don't know. I don't think he looked. There's a couple of moments he looked off the pace. I remember there was one moment where Lamela passed it to him and he was looking the other way and he wasn't concentrating. So I don't know. I don't know if what that pays to. I don't know if he's fully fit or if he's just not playing his best football. It's only 2 games, so don't want to go overboard. But he did struggle yesterday.
Is he going to win the Golden Boot?
Yes. He'll get 7 goals in his past 2 games, and Salah will get injured and he'll be fine. So let's move on to Pochettino first.
Yeah.
Then we'll talk about his substitution. So Pochettino, we gave him a 6. Hindsight obviously is 2020. I was looking when the lineup came out. I was pretty happy with it. I don't think even in hindsight I did too much wrong with the lineup, but question marks are around him having started Lamela over Son. In hindsight, maybe Son would have been better in just having the outlet in the first half, because there was a lot of space in behind City in that first half, and it could have been maybe Son having him running behind could have stretched them a bit more and asked them a few more questions than having Lamela in that. But saying that, I thought Lamela didn't play too badly, and I thought he did a decent job. It's just maybe
well, in hindsight, he would have started Son ahead of Ali.
Yeah, probably, and no one would have done that. So it still obviously pays to the job that Pochettino has on his hands. You know which players to pick. He's got a good squad ahead of him, but I think where he really let himself down is not. I don't think he reacted well to Pep's substitutions.
I agree, and I think, like I said before, that the substitution of taking Lamela off instead of Ali earlier on was a big mistake, I think. And even at the time before the change was made, I was crying out for Ali to be taken off and either Son or Lucas to be brought on, because I think it just needed it. And I don't know.
I thought when Pep changed it to 3 at the back, and he took Sane off, he put Sterling and Jesus up front, they were having a field day.
Yeah.
They were having an absolute field day all of a sudden, and Sanchez really, really struggled once Sterling went up front. Sterling was getting in time and time again.
He missed so many chances as well, Sterling. He missed that really easy chance just before he scored.
Yeah, well, he rounded Lloris, didn't he, and nearly scored. There was a couple of chances there, and I remember another one where Sanchez just about got a toe poke on it when Sterling looked like he was about to finish. And obviously Sterling scored as well, so from the corner. So he really did struggle once Pep made those substitutions. Bring on Lucas nearly got us back in the game, but I thought if maybe Lucas was on earlier,
because it was 3-1 already by then.
As I said, if literally Lucas was on the touchline when it was 2-1, and he was made it 3-1. So if we could have just held out those literally 1 minute, maybe we could have got back in the game. But I thought Poch was outwitted by Pep at the end of the day.
Yeah, but we had that chance for about 40 minutes of game time where we could have got back in the game, and we should have got back in the game. And you don't get back in the game against a class side against like that, then it's all your own fault, really.
Even if you look at the Etihad, to be fair, we weren't 1-0 down early. It was another sloppy start like this one, but we actually got back in the game. We started to put our foot on the ball. We started to control things, and we actually looked quite dangerous. And we didn't concede. I know we lost 4-1. We didn't concede the second goal till the 75th minute, and then so it was actually quite a close game up until that 15 minutes to go, and all of a sudden we went 2-0 down and fell apart and lost 4-1. It's kind of similar in this game.
That just brings us back to, if you don't take your chances, you don't hit it while you're ahead, you're going to get punished against these sides.
Yeah, I thought we did well to nearly come back in the game, but it wasn't enough in the end, and City deserved the win completely.
Against a poorer side like Stoke last week, it wasn't too dissimilar. Obviously they didn't have all over us like City were, but we were all over them. We were peppering them, we were creating chances, but we didn't get that goal. And then suddenly Stoke scored this goal, and we're in threat of not getting all 3 points. Against the City, we would have lost that game.
Yeah, and it paid. It showed. I think obviously Poch is still learning, and I think Pep outwitted him in this game, but I don't think it was a blunder or anything like that. I don't think it was a terrible performance from Spurs. I don't think we were outdone by a better team, no doubt about it. But I don't think we embarrassed ourselves in any way, I would say.
Well, those first 25 minutes we did for sure.
Those first 25 minutes was really sloppy. And you know what? I think there's in big games, you know, you think Juventus away, 2-0 down after 10 minutes. Liverpool, 1-0 down after like 5 minutes. City away, 1-0 down after 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
This game, 1-0 down, 2-0 down after what, 20 minutes? He's got something to sort out there in those big games. There has to be some sort of mentality where we start sloppily in these massive games, and
but even sometimes when it's not even a massive game, or we don't go down early, sometimes we're starting very slow and not conceding.
Yeah.
And we're not playing very well in the first half of games, and the second half of the games we come out and play. And that's why against these big teams we're getting found out, is because they're much better quality than these smaller teams, and they can hit us where it hurts in that first half.
So it's something Poch definitely needs to sort out, and hopefully we can have more starts like the one against United than the ones against...
Yeah, it's not every game you're going to get a goal after 10, 15 seconds. So.
Yeah, but I think that game we started within 10. We started on the front foot.
No,
we need to see more of that.
Yeah.
All right, well, those are player ratings. Let us know in the comments below who you think man of the match was. Let us know if you agree with the ratings and who you would give your players. We got the FA. We got Brighton on Tuesday. We're going to be there.
Nice sunny trip to Brighton. That's what I'm
looking forward to it. Yeah, Uncle Aid's going to be with us, so watch out for that. There'll be a match day vlog out on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. And obviously the FA Cup semi-final coming up on Saturday, so looking forward to that one. So like, subscribe and comment below. And as always, come on you Spurs!